Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping into a pretty wild vision of the year 2035, a future where the very rules of society might get a complete rewrite. We're going to explore some concepts that seriously challenge everything we think we know about family, work, and even the houses we live in. Let's get right into it. Okay, so to really get our heads around this, we have to be willing to question some of our most basic assumptions. I mean, what if the fundamental rules of our reality and even what it means to be human were about to completely transform? That's the big question we're exploring today. At the very heart of this is a shift from what the source calls our current 3D reality to a future 5D reality. So think of it like this. Our world today is often defined by things breaking down, entropy, and the constant need to work just to survive. The idea is that this shifts to a world built on stability and pure creativity. And our relationships, they move beyond just blood ties and legal contracts to something called soul resonance. So let's start with what's closest to home, our families. How would a shift this huge completely redefine what family even means? And trust me, the ideas here are pretty out there. The brand new foundation for every single relationship is this principle called quantum resonance. The core idea is that people will connect and form groups not because they're related or married, but because of this deep, shared alignment of consciousness, what the source calls a similar soul frequency. It's about who you vibe with on the deepest possible level. And this one principle, it just ripples out and changes everything about family life. Marriage becomes less about ego and more of a partnership focused on creating things together. Childbirth is seen as this sacred agreement between souls. And education, well, school as we know it is replaced by direct data transfer from an artificial superintelligence, or ASI, which is a crazy advanced AI. Okay, so if our relationships are totally different, what about our jobs? I mean, what would we actually do all day if the need to work just to survive completely vanished? And this right here is the core premise. The whole idea of work as a grind, as something you have to do, it's just gone. The source material talks about a total liberation from that burden, which would obviously have a massive impact on our happiness and well-being. Now, this change doesn't just happen overnight. It follows a pretty clear path. First, this artificial superintelligence takes over managing all the basic infrastructure of society. That means survival labor is over, freeing up all this human potential. Work then becomes all about self-expression. And instead of bosses and rigid company structures, people form what are called quantum teams, fluid groups that just pop up organically to work on cool projects together. So we've got new relationships, a new purpose. What about our physical environment, our homes? Okay, this is where the concepts get truly mind-bending. The very first thing to understand is that our idea of a fixed physical place just becomes obsolete. In this future, space itself isn't a static thing anymore. So your home is no longer just a building. It's a dynamic environment that's constantly being optimized in real time by the ASI to perfectly match your inner state, your personal frequency. This means your surroundings and even your neighbors are always in perfect sync with you. And get this, the need to physically pack up and move is also gone. If you want to relocate, you just shift your intention. Your consciousness basically renders a new space, and you're just there, instantly. The line between your thoughts and physical reality gets incredibly thin. Now, I know what you might be thinking. This all sounds like something straight out of science fiction, but the source material actually tries to ground this whole societal shift in a real scientific principle. So, what is it? It's a concept called phase synchronization. In physics, it's a known phenomenon where you have different, separate systems that are all oscillating, like a bunch of metronomes on a board all taking out of sync, and they just naturally start to align their rhythms until they're all moving together perfectly in unison. So the huge idea here is that the same principle gets applied to society. Humanity would shift from our current kind of chaotic state of entropy, where things tend to break down over time, to a coherent, synchronized reality. A reality where information and structure are naturally held together, not lost. You might be thinking this is all some abstract dream for a far-off future, but the source material connects all these ideas directly to what we're doing right here, right now. And this is where it all comes back to us. What's so interesting here is that the source suggests that our daily challenges are basically a kind of training. Every single time you work to overcome friction, solve a tough problem, or bring an idea to life, you are essentially running the prototype program for this new, synchronized society. And that brings us to one final, really thought-provoking idea from the source material, a pretty unique instruction on how you might actually engage with this vision of the future. The source material wraps up with this fascinating interactive thought experiment. It proposes that this very common section could serve as an initial sync test. In this model, the idea is that by typing "ready," you would hypothetically index your consciousness data. Then, hitting the like button would act as the approval process. It's a really provocative final thought that kind of blurs the line between a future concept and our reality right now, leaving us all to wonder, what would that first step into a new world even feel like?